The porcelain bowl shattered the moment it hit the marble floor. Every conversation inside the Kim mansion stopped. More than 50 guests turned toward the sound. Nia stood frozen at the entrance of the ancestral hall, staring at the broken pieces scattered around her feet. Madam Kim lowered her hand slowly, showing no sign of regret after deliberately knocking the bowl from Nia's hands. The elderly woman's voice carried across the silent courtyard. I told you this morning. Outsiders don't carry the Kim family's ancestral offerings. Nia swallowed hard. I'm sorry. I'll clean it up. Of course you will. A few relatives looked away in embarrassment. Others watched with quiet satisfaction. No one dared challenge the matriarch of the Kim family. Nia knelt on the cold stone floor and began gathering the broken porcelain with trembling fingers. A sharp edge sliced across her palm. Blood dripped onto the white marble. Still, she said nothing. Madam Kim watched without sympathy. Even your blood doesn't belong in this family. A young servant instinctively stepped forward. I'll help. Madam Kim shot her a glare. I didn't ask you. The servant immediately stepped back. Nia forced a smile despite the sting in her hand. I'll finish. As thunder rolled across the sky, the mansion gates slowly opened. No one noticed. Every eye remained fixed on the woman kneeling on the ground. No one noticed the line of black luxury vehicles entering the estate. Not yet. Before we tell you what happened when those doors finally opened, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. These stories are filled with unforgettable twists, powerful love, and emotional justice you won't want to miss. 6 months earlier, the Kim mansion had never felt warmer. Laughter echoed from the kitchen as Kim Hyun-woo leaned against the counter, watching his wife struggle to wrap kimbap neatly. Nia sighed dramatically. I've built skyscrapers on 3 continents. Hyun-woo chuckled. But rice defeats you. She picked up another roll and held it toward him. It isn't my fault Korean rice has trust issues. He laughed so hard he nearly spilled his coffee. You've insulted an entire nation before breakfast. She shrugged. They'll survive. He stepped behind her, gently guiding her hands. No. She looked back. No. You don't squeeze it. His fingers rested lightly over hers. You guide it. She smiled. I married a mafia boss. You did. And somehow you're giving me cooking lessons. I contain multitudes. She laughed, leaning against his shoulder. If the newspapers saw this, your reputation would disappear. My reputation only exists because people don't know how much I spoil my wife. Before she could answer, his phone vibrated. The smile disappeared from his face. He glanced at the screen. Min-suk. He answered immediately. What happened? His expression hardened. Nia could hear only fragments. The warehouse. How many? Secure everyone first. I'll leave now. He ended the call and closed his eyes for a brief moment. Nia already understood. Business. He nodded. Our Busan shipping terminal was attacked. Anyone hurt? A few men. Dead. He hesitated. 2. She walked over without another question and adjusted his tie. You have to go. I hate leaving you. You always come back. His hand gently cupped her cheek. That's because you're waiting. She smiled. I always will. A convoy of black SUVs waited outside. As Hyun-woo approached the front entrance, Madam Kim appeared from a hallway wearing a graceful smile. My son. He respectfully bowed his head. Mother. She glanced warmly toward Nia. You've made breakfast together again. Hyun-woo smiled. She insists on feeding me. Nia folded her arms. Lies. Madam Kim laughed softly. To anyone watching, she looked like the perfect mother-in-law. Hyun-woo kissed Nia's forehead. I shouldn't be gone longer than a week. I'll count the days. Then he turned toward his mother. Please take care of her while I'm away. Madam Kim nodded. As if she were my own daughter. Nia smiled gratefully. Thank you, mother. Hyun-woo looked at both women one last time before stepping into the waiting vehicle. The convoy disappeared through the front gates. Silence settled over the mansion. Madam Kim remained standing until the last SUV vanished around the corner. Then, her smile disappeared. She turned toward Nia. The warmth in her eyes vanished completely. Without saying a word, she stepped closer. Her fingers reached for the jade bracelet wrapped around Nia's wrist. It was Hyun-woo's wedding gift. What are you doing? Madam Kim unclasped it. My son gave me this. He gave it to me. He gave it because he is blinded by love. She slipped the bracelet into her own pocket. You may wear it again when you become worthy of it. Nia blinked. I don't understand. You don't have to. Madam Kim walked away. Breakfast is over. Nia remained standing in the hallway, staring at her empty wrist. The same servant from the kitchen quietly approached. I'm sorry, madam. Nia forced a smile. It's all right. It isn't. Nia gently touched the young woman's shoulder. Please don't worry. That afternoon, Nia decided to decorate the family living room with fresh flowers. She had noticed Hyunwoo's father smiling in old photographs beside white lilies. She thought his mother might appreciate the gesture. Carefully arranging the bouquet, she stepped back with satisfaction. It looks beautiful. Madam Kim entered moments later. She stared at the flowers, then picked up the entire vase. Without warning, she emptied it directly into the trash bin. Flowers, water, glass, everything. Nia gasped. I spent all morning. I know. Madam Kim interrupted calmly. You should stop wasting your time trying to make this house yours. Nia lowered her voice. I only wanted to honor father's memory. My husband doesn't need honoring from strangers. I am your son's wife. Madam Kim's eyes became cold. No. She stepped closer. You are my son's decision. There is a difference. Nia remained silent. I grew up believing family was sacred. So did I. Then why can't you accept me? Madam Kim answered without hesitation. Because my son could have married a woman who understood our history. I've spent every day trying to learn. You can memorize every Korean word in existence. Her voice became sharper. You will never change the color of your skin. The words landed like a slap. Nia looked away before the tears could form. Madam Kim continued. When guests visit tomorrow, you will not sit beside me. You will sit with the household staff. Nia finally spoke. If that's what you want. Madam Kim frowned. No argument. My husband asked me to respect you. So I will. For the first time. Madam Kim looked almost irritated. She had expected anger. Instead, she found quiet dignity. That only made her dislike Nia more. Late that evening, Nia stood alone on the balcony looking at the city lights. She quietly wiped away the tears she had refused to shed downstairs. Inside the mansion, one pair of eyes had witnessed everything. Choi Min-suk, Hyunwoo's most trusted advisor, had returned unexpectedly to deliver confidential documents. He had seen Madam Kim take the bracelet. He had heard every cruel word. His hand moved toward his phone. One call. That was all it would take. But before he could dial Hyunwoo's number, Nia gently stopped him. Please. He looked at her in disbelief. Madam. She shook her head. Don't tell him. He deserves to know. He deserves peace while he's protecting this family. Min-suk stared at the woman standing before him. Do you really intend to carry this alone? Nia looked toward the gates where Hyunwoo's convoy had disappeared hours earlier. Then she whispered. I promised myself that no matter how difficult this became, I would never make the man I love choose between his mother and his wife. Neither of them realized that promise would soon cost Nia far more than either of them could imagine. The next morning, Nia woke before sunrise. If Madam Kim refused to see her as family, then she would earn her place through patience instead of arguments. She prepared breakfast herself. Kimchi stew, steamed rice, grilled fish. The recipes had taken her weeks to learn, but she remembered every detail Hyunwoo had taught her. When Madam Kim entered the dining room, she paused for a brief second. Nia noticed it. For one hopeful moment, she thought the older woman might appreciate the effort. Instead, Madam Kim calmly called one of the servants. Throw it away. The servant froze. Madam. I said throw it away. Nia stepped forward. If the food isn't to your taste, I'll cook something else. Madam Kim looked at her with quiet disdain. I don't eat food prepared by women trying to buy acceptance. Without another word, the servant reluctantly carried every dish into the kitchen. Nia watched hours of work disappear into the trash. She lowered her eyes. I understand. No. Madam Kim replied coldly. You don't. Later that afternoon, several wealthy women from Seoul's most influential families arrived for tea. Nia welcomed them politely. Good afternoon. One of the women smiled warmly. You must be Hyunwoo's wife. Before Nia could answer, Madam Kim interrupted. She's staying with us. The room became awkwardly quiet. Another guest frowned. I thought your son married her. He did. Madam Kim lifted her teacup. Young people make emotional decisions. Everyone understood what she meant. Nia quietly poured tea into each guest's cup without saying a word. One elderly guest watched her carefully. You speak Korean very well. Nia smiled. I've been practicing every day. Before the woman could compliment her further, Madam Kim laughed softly. A parrot can also repeat words. Several guests exchanged uncomfortable glances. The conversation quickly changed. As they prepared to leave, the oldest guest deliberately stopped in front of Nia. She accepted the tea with both hands. Thank you. Nia bowed politely. It was my pleasure. The woman smiled. You have excellent manners. Madam Kim's expression darkened as the guests departed. The compliment had irritated her. That evening, Nia found one of the younger housemaids crying behind the laundry room. She gently approached. Are you all right? The girl hurriedly wiped her tears. I'm sorry, madam. What happened? My mother needs surgery. The young woman looked down. I don't have enough money. Nia didn't ask another question. Instead, she quietly took out her phone. How much? The maid's eyes widened. No. I couldn't ask you. You didn't. Nia smiled gently. I'm offering. Tears rolled down the girl's face. I'll repay every cent. No. You'll take care of your mother. The young maid fell to her knees. Thank you. Nia quickly helped her stand. Please don't kneel. If Madam Kim discovers this, she won't hear it from me. Unknown to both women, another servant had witnessed everything. By bedtime, every employee inside the mansion knew what Nia had done. Respect for her quietly began spreading through the household. 3 days later, Hyun-woo finally called. The moment his face appeared on the screen, Nia's entire expression brightened. There you are. He smiled. I've missed you. You've only been gone 4 days. They've been very long days. She laughed. How are things? Busy. He noticed the forced smile. And at home? She hesitated for barely a second. Everything's fine. Mother behaving? Nia smiled again. She's teaching me a lot. Hyun-woo nodded. I knew she'd eventually warm up. A lump formed in Nia's throat. I hope so. He leaned closer to the camera. You look tired. I've just been keeping busy. Promise me you're eating. I promise. And sleeping? She smiled. I'm trying. He looked at her for another moment. Something didn't feel right. Before he could ask another question, someone called his name from off-screen. I have to go. I know. I'll be home soon. I'll be waiting. I love you. I love you too. The call ended. The smile immediately disappeared from Nia's face. She quietly hugged the phone against her chest. I miss you. That weekend, Madam Kim organized a private luncheon for several extended family members. Nearly 20 relatives gathered around the long dining table. Nia helped serve every dish. Not one person thanked her. As everyone began eating, one aunt smiled at Nia. Why aren't you sitting? Before Nia answered, Madam Kim spoke. She'll eat later. The aunt looked confused. Why? Because servants eat after the family. Silence. Even the older relatives looked uncomfortable. Nia slowly nodded. I'll wait. She carried another tray into the kitchen. Behind the closed door, the cooks stared at her in disbelief. One elderly chef sighed. You should be sitting at the head table. Nia smiled faintly. It's all right. No. The chef shook his head. It isn't. After lunch ended, the family prepared to leave. One little boy accidentally tripped on the front steps. His forehead struck the stone path. He burst into tears. The adults panicked. Before anyone reacted, Nia rushed over. She gently lifted the child. It's okay. The boy clung to her tightly. Blood trickled from a small cut above his eyebrow. Nia cleaned the wound using her scarf before carrying him inside. His frightened mother finally caught up. Thank you. Nia smiled. He's very brave. The little boy stopped crying. You smell like flowers. She laughed softly. And you're very sweet. From the hallway, Madam Kim watched everything. She noticed something she hadn't expected. Every servant, every cook, even several relatives, were smiling at Nia. Not because they pitied her, because they genuinely liked her. For the first time, Madam Kim felt something unfamiliar. She wasn't losing control of her household through rebellion. She was losing it through kindness. That frightened her more than open defiance ever could. Instead of softening her heart, it hardened it. As everyone prepared for bed that night, Madam Kim unlocked a small wooden chest hidden inside her room. She stared at the contents for several long moments. Then a slow smile appeared on her face. If kindness won't drive her away, She quietly closed the lid. Then pain will. The following morning, Nia would discover that something precious had disappeared. Something that could never be replaced. The empty jewelry box slipped from Nia's trembling hands. She searched the bedroom again. Then the dressing table. Then every drawer. Nothing. The necklace was gone. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't made of diamonds. It was a simple gold pendant that had belonged to her late mother, the last gift she had received before leaving Nigeria to begin a new life with Hyunwoo. She had promised herself she would never lose it. A quiet knock came at the door. The young housemaid stepped inside. "Madam, is something wrong?" "My necklace." Nia's voice cracked. "I can't find it." The maid helped search every corner of the room. After nearly 30 minutes, she slowly looked up. "I saw Madam Kim come out of your room this morning." Nia immediately shook her head. "No, but..." "No." She forced a smile through watery eyes. "Don't accuse anyone without proof." The maid lowered her head. "I'm sorry." Nia waited until she was alone again before allowing herself to cry. Downstairs, Madam Kim opened the fireplace. She looked at the delicate pendant resting in her palm. So many tears. Over something so small. Without hesitation, she dropped it into the flames. The chain curled as the fire consumed it. Madam Kim watched until nothing remained. "Perhaps now, you'll finally leave." That afternoon, Choi Min-suk arrived with documents requiring Madam Kim's signature. As he crossed the hallway, he noticed Nia quietly sweeping ashes from beside the fireplace. She carefully picked through them with shaking fingers. "What happened?" Nia quickly stood. "Nothing." Min-suk looked into the fireplace. His heart sank. He understood immediately. His jaw tightened. This has gone too far. He reached for his phone. "This ends today." Nia gently held his wrist. "Please." "No. He deserves to know." She looked toward Hyunwoo's portrait hanging in the hallway. "If he comes home because of this, he'll spend the rest of his life blaming himself. He would protect you. I know. So let him." Tears filled her eyes. "I married him because he gives enough of himself to everyone. I won't become another burden." Min-suk stared at her for several long seconds. He had advised Hyunwoo for almost 20 years. He had negotiated with ruthless crime bosses, faced armed rivals without fear. Yet this woman's quiet strength humbled him. He slowly lowered his phone. Unknown to both of them, one of the security guards had overheard every word. 2 days later, Hyunwoo concluded his meeting overseas. His men celebrated another successful negotiation. Min-suk's phone remained silent, just as Nia had requested. But another message arrived instead. Not from Min-suk. From the head of the mansion's security team. "Sir, I apologize for speaking without permission. Madam Nia has been suffering. I can no longer stay silent." Attached were security clips. One after another. Madam Kim taking the jade bracelet. Throwing away the flowers. Forcing Nia to eat separately. Humiliating her before guests. Hyunwoo watched every second. His face remained calm. Dangerously calm. When the final video ended, he quietly stood. "Prepare the cars." One bodyguard hesitated. "Sir, the ancestral ceremony is tomorrow." Hyunwoo buttoned his suit jacket. "I know." Rain poured over the Kim estate. Relatives filled the ancestral hall. Politicians. Business executives. Mafia captains. Every important family ally had arrived. Nia entered carrying the ceremonial offering. Before she reached the doorway, Madam Kim stepped directly into her path. "I warned you." Nia lowered her eyes. "I came to honor father. You have no place before our ancestors." She struck the porcelain bowl from Nia's hands. It shattered across the marble floor. Silence. Madam Kim pointed toward the courtyard. "Stand outside." Nia looked around. No one moved. No one defended her. She quietly bowed. "I'm sorry." She walked into the rain. Her dress became soaked within seconds. Inside the hall, the ceremony began. Then, the massive wooden doors slowly opened. Every conversation stopped. Hyunwoo entered. Behind him stood dozens of suited bodyguards. His expression revealed nothing. He looked around once. "Where is my wife?" No one answered. His eyes settled on his mother. "Mother." She forced a smile. "You returned early. Where is my wife?" She pointed toward the courtyard. Hyunwoo turned. There she stood, completely drenched, still clutching the cuts on her hands from the broken porcelain. He walked across the rain-soaked courtyard without saying a word, removed his overcoat, wrapped it around Nia's shoulders, then gently took her hand. "Let's go inside." She looked at him in surprise. "You shouldn't. You are my wife." Together they walked back into the hall. Hyun-woo led her to the front, beside him, where she had always belonged. Madam Kim's voice trembled. "She cannot stand there." Hyun-woo slowly turned. "Why? She isn't family." He looked around the room. "So every one of you watched my wife bleed, and not one of you believed she was family enough to help?" Nobody spoke. He faced his mother again. "You taught me that a family's greatest duty is to protect its own." His voice remained calm. "But for 6 months, the only person protecting this family," he reached for Nia's hand, "was her." Madam Kim's confidence crumbled. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly." He removed his phone, pressed play. The security footage appeared on the large screen inside the hall. Every insult, every humiliation, every cruel act. No one could look away. When the final video ended, complete silence filled the room. Hyun-woo looked at his mother. "You asked why I married her." He smiled softly at Nia. "Because she had every reason to hate this family, and chose to love it anyway." Tears streamed down Nia's face. Hyun-woo gently wiped them away. Then he turned back to the room. "From this day forward, anyone who dishonors my wife, dishonors me. And anyone who dishonors me," he paused, "has no place in this family." No one questioned him. No one objected. Madam Kim slowly lowered her head. For the first time in her life, she had nothing to say. Several weeks later, Madam Kim suffered a mild stroke. The first person to arrive at the hospital wasn't one of her relatives. It was Nia. She quietly adjusted the blanket over the older woman's shoulders. Madam Kim opened her eyes. "You came." Nia smiled gently. "Of course. After everything I did?" "You are still Hyun-woo's mother." Tears rolled down Madam Kim's cheeks. "I spent months trying to drive you away." "I know. I kept waiting for you to hate me." Nia softly shook her head. "My mother taught me that hatred only creates more loneliness." Madam Kim reached for her hand. "My daughter." The words barely escaped her lips before she broke down crying. Months later, another family dinner filled the mansion with laughter. This time, Madam Kim personally placed the finest porcelain bowl in front of Nia before serving anyone else. No speeches were necessary. No apologies remained unspoken. The simple gesture said everything. Across the table, Hyun-woo caught his wife's eye. She smiled. He smiled back. The house that once tested her love had finally become her home. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more emotional stories like this. And before you go, tell us in the comments, at what point did Madam Kim go too far, and would you have forgiven her as Nia did? We'd love to read your thoughts.